Welcome to Indie Spotlight. Just like an unidentified flying object zipping rapidly across space, filled with mysterious purpose, we move at the speed of light. Yes, it's time for the lightning round. Guest, if you please, what is your name?
Hi, good evening. My name is Tália Utsch. I'm from Brazil. Yeah,
Cool. What are your pronouns, Talia?
I use she, her.
Where do you live, Queen?
Brazil, Belo Horizonte, more specifically, the capital of the world.
Absolutely. What kind of creative are you?
I write silly shit with a cranky voice. My games are weird, my games are kinda clunky but charming.
All right. And what is the name of your game that we're going to be talking about today?
Good Morning Milky Way and a few other things.
Cool. Welcome, Talia. So,
Thank you, thank you.
yeah, pleasure to have you here. What is Good Morning Milky Way?
So, Good Morning Milky Way is a game about SETI. It's the big search for extraterrestrial intelligence that happened in like the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah,
The
search for
origin,
extraterrestrial intelligence, right?
yes.
Okay.
Like the mainly the Carl Sagan thing, the whole movement about wow, let's send signals to the void and see whatever like comes back.
Yeah, so it was a genuine effort, genuine scientific effort to see if there was life out there in the universe.
Yeah. It's like a very underexplored theme, I guess, and it, which is like so cool. People actively participated in extraterrestrial search with
Yeah.
big ass radars and a very specific communal effort. Like I know guys that frequented the shop I worked at that dealt with SETI because they were very interested in it and wanted to collaborate with like RAM, the processors and such.
Cool. Well, it was a very interesting thing, but how does that relate to Good Morning Milky Way?
I guess the first thing to say about Good Morning is the game came from a game jam. We we had the Comuna Jam this past month. Yes, past month. Here in Brazil, it was hosted by a local podcast of ours, the Kakita podcast. A very, very big hug to the girls. They're awesome.
Cool.
And we made a 48-hour jam where the team was hoping. It's kind of hard to translate like the actual theme. It was esperançar, which kind
Right.
of sounds like to hope in English.
Yeah, it's like
Uh,
it's the cognate in Spanish too. It means
yeah,
sort of the same thing there. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Uh, so I like to believe I have a very acidic tone to my text. I'm not the
Hmm.
kind of girl to make like very direct games. All my shit has a purpose, but not a very clear one. You have to dig a little deeper to understand what the fuck I'm trying to say with the game. And
Yeah.
I had this idea of what if I made a game about working a boring job? And like you hope that something happens because it'll be funner than the job.
Hmm.
And like the hoping came from exactly that. Like, how do I make an RPG where the main gameplay loop is boring, but you have something cool digging, like laying underneath them? And that's how I got to work on Good Morning. It was an effort to combine boring office job with a different team, with something that was in my mind at the time because I had just played Voices of the Void. Don't know
Yeah.
if you've ever heard of it. It's a very small indie game, but a very cool one.
Okay. What is
And
it? What do you do within it?
you are like exactly the same thing in Good Morning Milky Way.
Okay.
You are a researcher isolated on a very small lab on the middle of the Alps, and you have to not only send but receive signals from the void and try to understand what they're saying. The game starts very, very, very boringly. You have to like clean your base and set up your things and like understand how the systems and computers work so you can do your job properly.
Yeah.
But during this process, you start to make small contacts, and that's what keeps the game. I wouldn't say it's a horror title, but it keeps you on your toes. Every single time is something is happening amidst the boredom, and this was exactly the vibe I wanted to capture for Good Morning.
Cool. Yeah, it's a definitely an interesting concept. You know, I've not really seen much like this before. Uh, so let me ask you this: where did you where did the concept come from you? Like, where did the influence? What was the influence here?
Uh-huh. So I guess the biggest reference was Voice of the Void. If you
Hmm.
played both games, you'll know like clearly how not how but where things came from. But I'm a huge fan of analog horror and
Hmm.
like smaller indie projects that play with narrative in different ways. So things
Cool.
like the Monument Mythos and Mystery Flash Pit were
Hmm.
both big influences on how I structured not only the setting but the progression of the plot. I guess. Good Morning is a very, I don't know if I can use the term linear, but like you have set events that will happen during the game,
Hmm.
and the way those events interact with each other and the dynamics of playing an RPG was very influenced by those projects. I
Okay.
had the awesome chance to interview Trevor Phillips from Mr. Flash Pit during my
Cool.
college. It was we talked for an art project, and
Hmm.
he said a lot about things I tried to capture with Good Morning, like how the mundane can be tainted by the bizarre, and how
Yeah.
in some ways we kind of live this experience, how we accepted some bizarre things in our reality but placing them as horror elements, or in this case extraterrestrial elements, sounds off. We're just
Okay.
conditioned to a different kind of bizarreness.
Well, cool. Yeah, that definitely definitely have the interplay of the mundane and the bizarre happening in
Mm-hmm.
Good Morning Milky Way. Definitely got that impression from reading through the rule book or the game overview. So here's a
Mm-hmm.
question: where did you get the name Good Morning Milky Way?
So another detail about me is that I'm a massive history buff.
Hmm.
I majored in fashion because I love costuming, I love history, I love theater and cinema and such. So I went into fashion school to understand more about costuming and
Yeah.
like a uniform and such, because I come from a very militaristic, uh, influenced background. My dad and his partners and such uh, were always inserted in the museum sphere, and not only that, but the tactical world. I'd say my dad was a mountain rescuer. I
Hmm.
know guys that like make inventions for the army to test guns. So
Okay.
I grew up on that world and became very fascinated by history and such. So a few years ago, I started dabbling with reenactment, and
Okay.
very quickly became in love with everything Cold War. And one of the most uh, uh, important references for me at the time was Good Morning Vietnam,
The
the
American movie with
Robin
Robin
Williams.
Williams.
Yes, yes. And I always thought that the quote, it has a certain vibe for the period. Like that really emblematic disc jockey thing, that radio host. I don't know if you ever saw the interview with the real guy when he's explaining about why Good Morning Vietnam had that big weight, why Robin Williams made it so elongated in the movie. Because in reality, the guys were like, "Good Morning Vietnam," still setting up the booth.
Yeah, and Robin Williams, he's always gonna go ham and chew the scenery in anything he does too.
Yeah. And I wanted to capture exactly this vibe. Like, how do I get the kind of silly, kind of charming radio host vibe to a game about radio hosts?
Yeah.
You're more or less talking in the radio to someone who may or may not answer. So there's a very small thing, but I really like to play with typography and such in my games. If you notice, the font used for the player-facing chapters is different from the font on the cover and the GM-facing chapter. Because if you see, the numbers on the contacts pages and the cover font is the same. The good morning isn't coming from the players. It's coming from the aliens. They are saying good morning.
Yeah, that definitely does stand out when you're going through the book. Like once you get into the GM section, it seems a little more. That's where you get into the bizarre stuff, and the font that you chose for that makes a lot of sense. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but what kind of font was it exactly?
I can't seem to remember the name right now. I probably still have the file over here, but I like to use a lot of open source fonts, like indie made fonts, and this one had that exact charming, silly retro vibe. The same thing as the Good Morning thing. So
I'm gonna put up on the screen right now. I'm gonna put up a the first page of the book so that people can get an idea of what you mean.
And so I went with font that had that vibe, but and I layouted it to the point where you will always see the font in lowercase. You never see it as something very striking, opposed to what the human, let's say, font is. The human one is always very bold, very brash. The letters are very stretched. It's a very distinct typography, while the GM or alien typography is way more chill, and this kind of conveys a bit of the message of the game. We are hoping for something extraordinary. We're hoping for something different, but the universe it's kind of silly too.
Yeah, and big. A lot to sift through out there.
Yeah.
All right. So here's a question. We were talking about a little bit of the look of the game. So, it's got a great aesthetic. That's one thing that pops out immediately, especially given that it was made in under 2 days. So, how did you manage to make something good looking so quickly?
Well, I started making my own books in like 2020, I believe, 2019. Like, barely before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I always played RPGs. I started with like 6 years old with my dad. He's also a huge nerd.
Nice.
And he's an artist too. He always drew and made his own homebrew material. So like in our home games, he always illustrated things. He always made sure to make his photocopied books seem as good as the official ones,
Right.
So I grew up with this idea that if I made something, if I publish something, it has to be as good as the big ones. But I'm not an artist. I I teach art, I study art, but I can't draw for shit. I only
Yeah.
know some theory. I'm more of a writer than anything else. So I learned, I believe, the last 3 4 years how to manipulate images and use mainly public domain assets to compose my pages.
Okay.
I love photography. I love photography, and becoming familiar with a camera made me understand how I can not only distort but chop the images in the right way to make cool pages. And that's exactly what I did. I go shuffling in open domain things like Wikimedia archives, for example, and end up with like a folder of cool photos and use them to compose each page. It's a very jumbled mess of photo bits and filters and masks making the effects, and making the static work. If you see the files, the magic goes away. But the final result is pretty cool.
The final result looks great. Viewer, listener, if you want to have a look, you're gonna have to buy the game. I think we'll link and then will be in the description, of course. But
You
let's
have
get
some
into
redacted previews on the each page.
yeah, good stuff. So Talia, character creation. I looked at it. It seems pretty simple.
Yeah,
What
super.
what kind of player options are there, or can you kind of invent them?
Yeah, like Good Morning was made in 48 hours. And I already had in mind that I wanted to put most of my efforts on the narrative side. I wanted to make not only the job part interesting, but have cool things to contrast with the boring side.
Yeah,
So the character creation turned out kind of lame. It's not very deep. You are all playing as huge nerds. You are scientists that voluntarily signed a deal with a big corp to be isolated on a installation many miles from civilization to talk on the radio to space. You have to be a nerd.
the corpse not like
So
Wayland Utani or something, is it?
yeah. It's like I tried to make like a SpaceX kind of thing, an Amazon kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
it has that very clean corporal aesthetic, but no one in their sane minds would like hire people for this job. Especially if when playing the game, you know the shit that scientists go through is insane.
yeah.
So it kind of goes to the Will and Yutani thing. Like, yeah, you have to be a very evil corp to do so. But the character creation is very straightforward. You pick what major you did. So you're a scientist. You like some subject. You pick your favorite classes from it. So wow, I'm majored in physics. I like this, and that. I have these
Okay.
skills, and they will help me in certain situations. And then when everyone created their characters, you guys come out with a few initial characteristics for the base. So like my room is kind of messy. This room, the common room has this, and that. You have the freedom to start giving character to not only yourselves but the place where the game will be set.
Right, you get to make a base sheet as well, and you get to upgrade it and
Yes,
stuff.
yes. Yes, and this will comes up later in the game because every single night after the job, the guys can go around the base and find new shit.
Yep.
It's the vibe of the game is like this lab has been worked on by many other people. You guys are not the first, and you will not be the last. So finding new things and adding things to the base to make the daily life there more interesting. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say necessarily better, but funner. It's a huge part of the game.
Quality of life improvements for the characters.
The main thing, I guess, that the progression you can say the characters have is how they get exposed to the contacts.
Yeah.
The farther you go on the game, the more let's say extraterrestrial influence you have on your life. So the more exposed you get, and the more the normal things you did will start to become harder. Not harder, but I guess different. You have
Right.
new people living in the base. You have new objects in your way. You have new behaviors, you have new rules you have to follow because your surroundings are changing.
Mm-hmm. So now I noticed that the game is split into two sections, right? There's the
Mm-hmm,
job
mm-hmm.
section and the hang section. And
Yes.
you kind of talked about those a little bit, but what does each one of those look like as far as gameplay goes?
Yeah. So let's start with Hang because it is a little bit simpler. Hang
Yeah.
is your normal, your usual RPG moment.
Hmm.
As I said, the players are scientists and they are contractually obliged to stay at this base. You can't leave. You can't do shit. Your groceries are delivered weekly through drone, so you don't even see other people beside your fellow scientists. So the hang phase is exactly the moment where you guys goof out on the base, on the surroundings, on whatever. It's
Yeah.
a free role play moment where you uh, uh, get to actually play a normal RPG.
Hmm. Okay. So like more traditional role play where you're getting to interact with the other
Yeah,
scientists
yeah, yeah.
and try to keep each other, you know, from getting too, I don't want to say bored, but keeping each other sort of sharp, you know.
Yeah. It's the I guess the office job dynamic. It's a lot of what I thought about while writing a game was about my previous job. I worked at a bar, and like
Hmm.
we had uh, um, very late night shifts. We worked a lot every single day, and our team was kind of small. So every time we didn't had to interact with clients and such, we did silly shit to keep us entertained.
Yeah.
I liked to bring this vibe to the game, like how these people that don't know each other, that like accepted this shit job, will keep themselves not only sane but uh, uh, entertained in a
Yeah.
very a weird setting.
Yeah, for sure. It's almost like you're putting him in a Skinner box to see what happens, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You have this. I guess that's a lot of what the game tries to convey on the first moments, the first hang sections.
Yeah.
As you said, the game is split into the two moments. So the early hangs, let's say you will have, I don't know, 4 or 5 hangs per session. They'll be very boring. They'll be very the players trying to find shit to do because the job section is still in its early steps, and this urge to make the game interesting, like every RPG player wants to do, every good RPG player wants to do. Let me say it precisely. It's what makes the job work.
Yeah.
The job is a very board gamey feeling moment. You barely don't roleplay. The GM enters as another player, and the whole table sits down in silence to play a card game. You guys grab a normal deck of cards and have to match whatever is on the table to whatever is on your hand. It's a little bit more deep than that. You have more symbolism inside the game, but
Yeah, I
it's
remember there being like four different actions, right, that you could do when you're
yeah,
trying to figure out sending your radio signals out or trying to interpret them.
exactly.
Yeah.
You in very resume you can like uh, uh, draw more cards, but everyone else has to draw more cards. You can discard cards, you can play cards, and remove cards. And the game only ends if the whole group agrees to end it. So everyone has to have the right cards on the table and on the hand to complete the puzzle. It's a very simple puzzle, to be honest. But what makes it complicated is obviously the social part. You can talk. You can only communicate through the hints. One of the actions let you give, and the outcome of the puzzle, be it fully successful or not, is what makes the alien part work. So the better that the group gets signals and interpret those signals, the more chance they'll have to actually make contact with some alien species. And that's what talks, that what connects to what we were talking just right now about the player initiative to do shit. You'll start wanting shit to do, and suddenly shit will start appearing.
Yeah. So it almost sounds like you're taking like the role playing in the game, and they're kind of split into different sections. Like the gaming stuff is more the job stuff, and the role playing stuff is more the hang stuff. So that's
in hang you still have some game elements. You have like a standard 2d6 array rolling. You have some consequences that will some resources and such, but essentially it's all roleplay.
Yeah. Which, there's going to be tables that enjoy that, so for sure.
Yeah, surely.
Yeah. So, okay, next topic. So, just like Fox Mulder, I want to believe, okay? So, is it actually possible for the scientists to contact ETs, or are they doomed to keep on sending signals into the void with no response?
Well, the ETIs, or extraterrestrial intelligences, are, for me, the cooler part of the game.
Oh, yeah.
If you grab yourself a copy and, well, who am I to say? But the game's pretty cool. You should grab a copy.
Yeah, we don't have to talk more. If you want to leave it to be a surprise as to what's in the GM section,
no.
We can do that.
I think it's cool to talk about. But if you're interested in playing the game, skip ahead, because that's the meat and bones of the game. It's how the events work, and we chatting about it will kind of ruin the magic.
All right, folks.
I think it's very worth to talk about.
So right now, if you want, skip ahead to 5 minutes in the future, like starting now.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Give us the alien stuff.
ETIs. The puzzle I said before, the job puzzle, it works on a numeric pool system. For each player that successfully completed their puzzle, or how the game says it, send a signal, you have 1d6 added to a common pool. The GM then rolls this whole pool, and for each 6, they progress one step on the ETI chart. The latter half of the book is this ETI chart. There are 4 contacts, each one with 6 events. And
you can get some pretty wild things happening with those events.
Yeah, shit goes wild with the ETIs. You compare how many 6s you rolled from the signal pool with the number of ETIs. So I rolled 3d6, got 1 6. The first ETI will activate the first event. I roll another day, another job. I roll 3d6, 1 6 again. The first ETI will activate its second event. So you have 4 different 6-step clocks that progress individually with its own different subplots, I guess. Each ETI has its own quest, let's say, and you can actually beat the game. Yeah, exactly. There, I guess agenda is the perfect term. They don't really want anything. They just goofing around, and they happen to be in their way. The game actually has a win condition. If you beat any 6 events of an ATI, the game ends. But
And at that point, you've pretty much discovered alien life elsewhere in the universe.
Yeah. You guys like have enough evidence to be dangerous assets to the corporation. So your overlord go like, NDA, you're off. Don't tell anyone about this.
Yeah.
And yeah, the thing, I guess, the most interesting thing I'd say is that the progression of the ATIs and its events are strictly tied to how many signals you send. So the first, the pill, the first ATIs, they are very social, very innocent, very naive aliens. They just want some company. They're being hunted by a mecha fish species. And they'll like instantly befriend the scientists. While the fourth ETI, the hardest to meet ETI, only appears if you send enough signals, just if you like know too much. And it's exactly that. It's like a safeguard, a contingency plan from the literal embodiment of Earth to keep humans from knowing too much. So like you strive to send more signals because that's what the game wants you to do. So, but when you actually get those huge numbers, when you get those huge signals, you see that maybe it's best not to mess with the unknown.
Yeah, that last one, it can get pretty rough based on what I read about it.
Yeah. And I tried to make the ATIs not only work standalone, like as we said, each one of them has its own agenda. Each one of them has its own plotline, but they slightly interact with one another. Like the pill are very social, very in your face guys. The associates are super shy, super arrogant spaceship guys. You'll never actually see an associate, but they'll mess everything around the base.
Yep.
It's a very, I wouldn't say delicate, but a very strange balance to find.
Yeah.
Having many ETIs activated at the same time will make your life hell, and that's exactly the point of the game.
But that's the really interesting part is when you get those events activated.
Yeah, they start to merge with each other, and that's where the hang part becomes, I guess, more gamey, because the search of fun things to do while in hang becomes super obstructed by the mystery of not really knowing what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Like, something it's happening, but for the players, as a player, you can't actually know what is a separate ETI from the other. You can't know what trail is progressing after each job. So it becomes a huge network of plot lines that you have to try to decipher to know, we need more signals, less signals. We have to progress with these guys. We don't want to associate with these guys. It's a very social thing, I believe. You have
you got to kind of figure out with your teammates how you want to handle these incursions.
Yeah. And the game tries to, at all times, try to give the players not only a difficult situation, not only something weird happening, but it tries to make the house life, I'd say, on the lab different. So you constantly will have things stolen. You have, I don't know, the lights will break. The fridge will fall on the ground. A random object will be stolen from the lab. you have these very specific, silly problems for us, but that are in some way progressing the alien plot lines. All of them have a purpose. You just don't really know what it is.
Yeah. And, it's all very interesting. I would like to play it and see how it all plays out eventually. Um, did you, by the way, did you get my X Files reference?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I didn't know if that got down to South America or not, so.
That we have. I believe it was like early 2010s. The huge influence the X Files had on media reached us mainly through memes. So like the X Files team and that those very dramatic cutaways and zooms and amplify rest of that.
Yep.
We had that seep very deeply into our culture too. Brazil loves a very schlocky drama, and well, that's X Files for you.
Yeah, that's the whole Mulder and Scully will they won't they thing, right?
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna say we're gonna be done talking about the GM stuff now. Welcome back, folks. If you were cut out for
Hi.
that, so I wanted to talk about your other games, Talia. So this is not your
Yeah.
first one, as you mentioned before.
No.
Tell us about 12 Hours, which is your World War II tanker game.
Yes. 12 Hours is a very, I guess, weird game because it enters in a niche. I see many RPGs struggling to make work, which is the topic we were talking before. The vehicular interactions and vehicular systems, and how do you make crewing big machines work. I remember very clearly XP to Level 3's review of Descent into Avernus, the D&D adventure.
Yes.
Where he talks about how the Hell engines, I believe they're called.
Hell Engine?
I believe. I really don't remember the name.
I've not read Descent into Avernus, so I couldn't say.
In Avernus, you have like a whole subplot about Mad Max vehicles in hell. It's weird, but he talked about how the vehicular combat, together with D&D's rules, didn't quite work, but it gave the cool vibes of crewing a ship or crewing a vessel where everyone is very necessary. And this, like, I watched that review many years ago, but that idea of crewing a vehicle, of like having to rely on your fellow crewmen, it's very important.
Yeah.
So
and specifically, there's like a set number of players for this game too.
Yeah. 12 Hours can't be played with less than four people or more than 4 people. You have to have us exactly 4 guys. Because let's tangent aside, 12 Hours is a game about World War II tanks, like specifically Sherman tanks, which were the American Allied, let's say, main battle tank. And they were very dinky, very cheap tin cans with big guns. I don't recall who said that, but it was like 3 to 4 Shermans per Panzer. It was a very weird proportion of Allied to Axis tanks, and that made the life of a tanker in World War an Allied tanker in World War II very exquisite, I believe. They were up all time. They were having to maintain their tin cans every time, and they were always at a risk of instant obliteration. Shermans weren't reliable at all. In the early war, there's an anecdote about this. The Shermans were very prone to like bursting in flames spontaneously.
Great.
So it gained a certain fame of being like a madman's tank and being like the workhorse of the Allies that no one actually trusted, but was super relieved that they're here. And I wanted to capture this vibe with the game. Like, you guys are drafted into this death machine. It's shit. You hate your job, but it's better than being a foot soldier.
I suppose so. You got at least a little armor between you and those bullets.
Exactly. So, but I didn't want to make this little armor part just, oh, I'm harder to hit. 12 hours is very, I guess, crunchy with tank details.
Yeah,
every tanker has many systems, has many things that can go wrong at any time, and you will have to rely on any other player to know, oh, I'm the gunner, I'm the guy that rotates the turret. If the driver gets hit, he'll fuck my turret ring. He has my HP bar, I have his HP bar, and neither of us can count my ammo. So you're having to talk around the table every time to figure out what is actually going on. The game doesn't have like an static HP bar. You have a series of fail states that, if all procced at the same time, make the tank explode. And communicating that at all times, making that transparent to the group at all times is very tough.
Like just between players to make sure that they're all acting in unison, right?
Yeah, I implemented a rule in the game that you play as a single tank. Each player has one role inside the tank, but you frequently send out orders and coordinate with other units. So, like, if you don't have anything actively going on the tank, like, I won't make the player waste a turn just reloading. That's boring. You will never want to play the loader if all your gameplay was just, oh, I reload.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the loader is very frequently responsible of not only dealing with the tank systems, but coordinating other troops. Or the commander can pop off of the tank and shout out some orders. So you're constantly swapping around your own tank and the foot guys. But the issue is, every time a player acts, another enemy unit acts. It doesn't matter which one. The GM can pick one, but you'll never have 2 consecutive player turns. And this makes what we were talking about of the communication way harder, because from a turn to another, everything can change. The thing can go haywire, and your systems will fluctute heavily. Another thing, I guess, that contributes to that made the playtest guys really stressed out is that the permanent damage, let's put it like that, the thing that lingers after the battle, it's it's recorded through cards. So every time you get hit, the armor dents, the armor on your side gets weaker, and you get a random card from the deck. Those cards will stay with you until you repair your section of the tank.
Yeah.
And the value of the card represents how severe is the damage your armor received. So even if you're getting hit lightly, even if you're not actively at danger, the amount of issues a single card can add to the crew I don't know, 1-2 game sessions later, it's massive.
Yeah. I get that. It's like, I think that a tank game with sort of, crunchy combat in kind of a realistic setting, that has an audience. So
Yeah.
if you're like a military nerd, if you like, this World War II hardware, if you're like a big tank nerd, you love World of Tanks or
Yes.
whatever, this would be a good one to check out for sure.
I had a very fun experience while I was advertising 12 hours. As we said before, and as my accent
Mhm.
shows, I'm not just now starting to make content in English and
Mm.
I guess transition to the English market. And 12 hours was my first foray into the English scene. And I started posting on bluesky and such some screenshots of the game and where I was on the development process, and that started to garner some pretty good attention on Blue
Mm.
Sky. Like Justin Alexander and such uh, commented on my things and gave me some hype. But
Cool.
the comments I remember the most and cherish the most were actual tank guys, like guys that served in the army and were tankers and like deployed in Iraq and such, that read the silly generators I put in the game and were like, well, that happens. Like we had an experience like this. I remember very clearly. I believe it is in the turret ring or ammo rack section of the game. It
Yeah.
describes a scene where a character slips on the smooth steel flooring and hits his head on something. And one of the guys on Blue Sky said, like, that happened to me. It was very cool to see how actual tank guys live the things I wrote to be funny.
Yeah.
And yeah, that fits exactly on what you said. If you like those very boots on the ground, very close military scenarios and stories, like Fury is a massive reference to the game,
Okay.
and other intimate, let's say, war movies like that. Warfare is one I watched recently and fell absolutely in love. But if you
Yeah,
like
the Alex Garland
those,
movie, right?
oh
Alex Garland was the guy who did
yeah,
Warfare.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Hmm.
with a 24.
Yep.
The game has that very personal, very intimate atmosphere from those movies, but
Hmm.
set on a way that reflects what actually was being a soldier in World War II. You were a farm boy. You weren't a hero. You were just a guy that lost his summer and probably his life on Europe. So that's the vibe I'm trying to pass, and what the game is very frequently praised for.
Yeah. And I've noticed something about at least your English language games, which I think so far is just Good Morning Milky Way in 12 hours, right?
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes,
eh,
yes,
it seems like you like to have like these normal schlubs working with cool technologies in tense situations. So
yes, yes.
where
That's
do you
like
think that
my
that
vibe.
comes from? Just your background as kind of a military nerd growing up, or what? How do you think? Why do you think you're drawn to these particular kind of scenarios?
Well, I believe it's much of my like cultural repertoire growing
Hmm.
up. I've always was taught how to defend myself and how to do things. Like my father
Yeah.
was a climber and he was a gun instructor. He
Mm.
taught people how to shoot and such. So he always taught me not only the didactic parts, let's say. He not only taught me how to do things, but the consequences of messing up.
Mm.
Like when he worked as a mountain rescuer, he always taught me. He always told me of the rescues that didn't go well, like how it is haunting to find someone in a desperate situation. How it is haunting to fail to help these peoples, and this stuck with me. You know, like watching Alien and First Blood and seeing those movies and reading those books as not only art, of course, but what if those people were real? What if those 10 situations were mine, were yours, were shit we can experience? And this, of course, translated to my experience with RPGs.
Yeah.
My dad, what ever been a fantasy guy. We played very little D&D second edition, and like I'm 21 years old. I'm not that old, but I only played second edition.
Yeah.
And after that, we played like Macross and other
Okay.
Palladium books and like World War II games and such. I never stayed on the epic genre, you know? The very heroic, very big stories never caught my eye.
Yeah.
So having this background made me like, oh, I don't like Superman. I like the Daredevil. I don't
Yeah.
like the Avengers. I like Hell's Kitchen. I don't want to be a very heroic character. I want to be a normal person with normal issues, and
Yeah.
that comes like barreling down on my games. You always are a very normal guy, but will be put through insanely difficult situations, be they funny as they are in Good Morning, be they haunting as they are in 12 Hours and the many other games I have coming.
Yeah. And speaking of those, I know you mentioned to me earlier that you have several projects in the works. Would you like to
Yes,
tell us
yes.
what you've got cooking?
Well, I'll start with the other English game we have coming. The project name, it's Our Ides of March. I don't know if it'll be the final name, but it is a game about America falling into a fascist coup d'etat.
Oh, okay. Well, like that,
Like,
something complete fantasy never happened in real life.
yeah, no, like super non-realistic shit. Uh, like, a big point of the game actually is how you structure the fall of America. It's part of the character creation. Like, when creating your characters, you have to decide how your America falls,
Okay.
and that feeds directly onto the gameplay. So it's a game about normal people again, being like witch hunted in the Appalachian Mountains. You're a guy on a small city that's been overrun by like a government militia or like Proud Boys or something like that,
Right.
uh, and you have to do something. The game is mechanically very inspired by like OSR games and such. So it's a very lethal, very uh, punitive game, I'd say.
Yeah, you're not soaking up
But
a lot of bullets in this game.
no, no, not at all. You like can permanently lose limbs and such. It's a very, very cruel game. But it uses this very traditional core, this very traditional agenda, I'd say, to subvert a lot of expectations about traditional games. The game begins like a D20 plus mod rollover system, like any other virtual clone, but it slowly fades into a more modern horror game. People that played it said it looks a lot like Mothership.
Okay.
It's a game where you're being haunted by an bizarre force and you can't do shit besides work together to stay alive.
Okay. So it's
So
really,
like,
yeah, survival sim, very much a survival sim.
yes. It relies very heavily on like the well-being of you and your group. You have to travel, eat, sleep. The dynamics of the survival part are very very important to the game. And I guess the most interesting mechanic, and a little spoiler I can give to the listeners,
Yeah.
is how the darkness works on the game, because it is a very important mechanic. I really hate when games are like, oh, it's dark, roll with -2 to perception. Like, that's it isn't a bad solution, but I always liked to incorporate darkness as something more. If you ever did anything in darkness, like hacked or climbed or I don't know, in my experience, played airsoft and such, you'll know darkness is a bitch. It's impossible to do anything. So in our Ides of March, we built a system in which every player rolls everything in darkness under a cup.
Okay.
So you say like, I wanna move there and shoot that guy. Okay, you move there, and to shoot a guy, you roll to hit, and you roll the damage. Hide that under a cup. When it comes your time to actually act on the round, you reveal what's in the cup and follow through with the actions.
So you
The
don't get to take it back or anything. You just have to go with what you said you were going
Yes,
to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
problem is, in the game, the initiative isn't linear. You don't have like, oh, I roll a 20, you roll a 10, I go first. No. In Rides of March, initiative is decided by who striked first. So
Okay.
the aggressor goes first. And every time someone on the active team misses or fumbles on a save, on a test and such, they lose the initiative. So the other team goes.
Okay.
So everyone at the
Gotcha.
table in darkness announces what they're going to do. So, oh, I'm going to move. Oh, I'm going to take cover and launch a grenade and such. But you don't know when those things will activate. So, oh, I walked in and shot the guy. If I missed, I fucked my whole team, because now the guys will move. They will get out of position. They will get in cover, and all my team's actions will go not astray, but will become less predictable.
Right.
The game is very it's in light. It is already very chaotic because of this initiative hopping thing. But in darkness, when actions are like called beforehand, shit goes super out of control. It's a
Ugh.
very, very, very fun dynamic.
Wow. I kind of like that. You know, I think you're right too. In so many games, you don't the implications of what it means to act in darkness don't, especially in D&D where so many characters have dark vision. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
doesn't come into play. So
I always ran like fantasy things without dark vision. I think it takes a lot of the suspense of, dungeons
yeah.
out of play. Uh, it's I don't believe it is in English yet, but recently some friends of mine published a game called Breu, Breu,
I've not
and
heard of
it's
it. I can say that much.
yeah, I believe it is coming to English in the near future.
Okay.
But it is a game about heavy dungeon crawling where darkness is an active force. Like, you're on a dungeon, like, in Shadow Dark, where time makes your torch go out and such. In Breu, you're actively being stalked by the darkness. So it
Okay.
takes a way more active part on the drama. And I took a lot of inspiration from that game to our Ides of March. I wanted to make darkness a player, and like emphasize, as it is a modern shooter setting, emphasize like, if you have night vision, you are God. If you have
Right.
I don't know, a flashlight, you have power, but you're exposing yourself. You can use darkness. You can prowl in darkness. Uh, those are like very important things to modern combat and modern tactics that get lost on many RPGs, and I wanted to take my shot at it.
Okay, it sounds like a very interesting system, and if you want to have this sort of modern setting with sort of realistic rules when it comes to operating as a human in darkness,
Yeah, yeah,
with a bit of crunch, that sounds like a good way to do it. So
yeah,
folks, follow Talia. Check out our Rides of March, or whatever the game ends up being called when it comes out. So speaking of
yeah,
which,
yeah.
where can people find you in your games?
I'm everywhere at Talia Utsch, TaliaUtsch. I believe
Mm-hmm.
if my English is not rusty enough. I believe Cider will put my handle everywhere.
Yeah, I'll put in the
I'm
notes.
I use this handle in bluesky, in Itch, and Instagram. On bluesky, I post mostly in English. On Instagram, mostly in Portuguese. But
Mm.
everything is available I'm available everywhere to talk. Don't be afraid. Even on Discord, please reach out. Let's talk. Let's do some cool shit.
Cool. And what anything you'd like to leave the viewers or listeners with today?
I'd say first of all, a huge thanks to you for like having me and the platform and spotlighting indie creators. That's a very important thing that I don't see much of in the scene, and it helps a lot. It's
Yeah,
very silly on first hand, but yeah, it's very, very, very helpful.
yeah, and folks, if you like seeing these indie games, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment on this podcast. Maybe share it with a few friends who are into the TTRPG scene, so that they can know there's more going on out there than just what Wizards of the Coast and Paizo are doing. We got a lot of very
Please,
interesting, very
please.
cool development going on in the indie scene. So, Talia,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here today and telling us about your interesting
The
games.
pleasure was
And
all mine.
yeah. Well, folks, thank you once again. This has been Indie Spotlight. My name is Sizer. You can find me at Skies of Fortune on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Facebook. Um, and the game is Good Morning Milky Way. You'll find a link in the description. Only $5, folks. If you want to check out this cool game about finding aliens, yes, this is for you.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
and
We'll see.
one more note on Good Morning.
Yeah,
The game jam, the Komodo jam I talked earlier, it's
yeah.
just now getting onto its second phase. So very soon, Good Morning will receive like a big update.
Cool. All right, so folks, if you want to wait for that update too, make sure you follow Talia on Blue Sky, and you'll get all the updates as they come out. So again,
Oh
thank
yeah.
you, Talia, for being here. Thank you for listening or watching this episode. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We will see you at the next one, folks. Have a good one.
Bye bye.